Hey everyone, welcome to the Incredible Eyes Show. We are back at it and we're coming at you with not just an audio version of this show, but a video version of this show because on the show today I've got Brian May with Profound Logic and he is here to talk about their new product, their AI, Profound AI, and we're super excited about it. But let's first welcome Brian to the show. Welcome, Brian.
Thanks for having me. I've been wanting to be on the show for a while now, so this is exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. We had a chance to talk on Power Talk with Peg Tuttle over at Tech Channel, where you did talk a little bit about the new Profound AI tool that was in the making at the time. And now we are so close for the release. I think it's coming in just a couple of days. We're recording this ahead of time, folks. So, yeah, so we're very excited. So thank you so much for being here.
Oh, thanks again for having me. This whole product's been my life for the last few months, so I'm really excited to get it off the ground, and
Yeah,
we're excited to get it out into the hands of customers. So this is
perfect.
really exciting time for everybody.
Good, good. Well, AI is at the top of a lot of, well, and if it's not, I don't know what rock you're living under, folks,
Yeah.
but if AI isn't on that list, that strategy list, that going forward list, then you need to rethink some of the things that you're doing there. But first off, Brian, let's go ahead and have you just kind of talk a little bit about yourself. How did you land in the IBM space? Because I know at one point you were a traveling musician, I
I
think.
was, I was. So yeah, I've always loved computers and done a little programming, and so when I went to college, I wanted to I started out in electrical engineering. That wasn't my thing. I decided I wanted to be a musician, so I majored in music. And then after doing that for a couple of years, honestly, I decided, well, the only thing that degree's good for is teaching, and I don't want to teach.
Okay.
So I left college. Uh, don't do that, kids. But I left college and I actually made my living for a few years as a musician and as a sound engineer, which is what most traveling musicians do. They either perform or they're working gigs. It's kind
Yep.
of the thing. Um, 5, 6 nights a week for several years, and met my wife at a show.
Was she a
And
roadie?
she was not. She was not. But she was at a show, and we met, and eventually, things got serious, and we decided we were going to get married, and I had to get a real job.
Yeah,
It
grow up
happened.
a little bit, maybe.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, something. Not that I wasn't making money, but something with a little more dependable income,
Hmm.
because the life of a musician is feast and
Yeah.
famine when it comes to income. So I actually applied to be an accounting clerk at a local manufacturer. But on my resume, I had, some experience working with computers and doing a little programming, just on the side. And so they offered me the job, but said, before you do, I want you to go and interview with our MIS department because they're looking for someone. So I did.
Oh,
And I ended up getting a developer job on IBM. I didn't know anything about the system. Um, I had experience with C++ and Visual Basic, but now, of course, this was in the year 2000, I
sure.
think. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I
So
did
you
that.
you kind of you missed that 2000 bubble thing where everybody
Yeah, it
was
was
like
right after. It was right
trying
after
to like get
Y2K.
ready for that Y2K and
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So we came in, and I took a job there as a developer, kind of engrossed myself in everything IBM. Made my way up to a project manager there. I was there about 10 years. During that time, I became a speaker and a writer in the IBM industry, and did the thing. And then uh, Alex Roitman, our CEO, actually reached out to me at that point and asked if I might be interested in thinking about joining Profound Logic. Profound Logic was a very small company at that time. And so a lot of back and forth talking about that for a while. And then eventually, I made the jump. And I've
Nice.
been at Profound Logic for 13 years now.
Seems like
Um,
longer, but yeah.
no, 13, I
Yeah.
believe. It was
Wow.
2011 when I moved to Profound Logic. So yeah.
Oh, good. Good.
So
Good
yeah,
for you.
and luckily working for Profound, I'm able to continue to participate in the IBMI community and speak and write and do all the
Yeah.
things. Most recently, community-wise, I'm also the president of the Common Education Foundation.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Do you want to give them a little plug because you guys do some amazing work over there?
yeah, I feel like I always have to beg for money, but that's kind of part of being part of a nonprofit organization.
Right.
So yeah, our goal is really to help build the next generation of IBMI professionals. So we do a lot of that with scholarships, helping get students to events like Common, and helping to connect employers with new graduates from those programs, doing things like reverse job fairs and those kinds of
Yeah.
things.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're always looking for help. If someone wants to volunteer,
Volunteer.
or more importantly, if you'd like to, sponsor a student to attend Navigate this fall, you can absolutely do that. And you can do that on our website at commoneducationfoundation.org.
Right, right. And you know what I like about that is that if you can't do the whole amount for a student, you can just, go ahead and donate and they will pool the funds and,
Yes.
help sponsor those students. And will you guys be hosting a reverse job fair again this year at Navigate well, we're going to be in Florida, and then there's
Right.
going to be one in Toronto. So are you hoping to do one at each or just one in
We are
Florida?
we are trying to figure that out now.
Oh, okay. Awesome.
I can't say for sure at this point. I think we're probably going to do one in Florida. I don't know that we'll do one in Toronto. Again, the Common Education Foundation board is something we've got to discuss and
Sure.
And get all planned out. But we are, as of right now, we are planning to have a reverse job fair at one of the events. Details to be released at a later date.
Yeah, and for those of you who don't know what a reverse job fair is, it's actually the student or those looking for a position. It's like speed dating, they're at the table and the employers, the companies go around to all the different folks, gathering information, getting their resumes, talking to them a little bit about what they're looking for, and then they move on to the next person. So it's really, I think, kind of fun. When you guys did it at Virginia Beach, it was a packed room.
It
And
was.
I know a few people landed jobs after that, so it was very successful.
Yeah, we thought it was a huge success. We had lots of students. We had lots of companies that came by. The great thing is since we're doing it at an event like Navigate, you don't have to pre-register your company to participate or anything. If you're at the event, you can just come and talk to some students.
Yeah.
And I know a few actually landed positions at the event, and others have landed positions since then
Nice.
that I'm pretty sure were connections that started during that event. So yeah, as an education foundation, we all hear it. Companies say there's no new professionals that they can hire on IBMI, and then you've got the other side. Students are looking for jobs and can't find them. This is the most that we can do as a foundation. We put you in the same room, and if you can't figure it out from there's nothing else we can do, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the goal, is just to connect these students who are studying, and a lot of them are in IBMI programs.
Sure.
In college, putting them in the room with the employers and saying, okay, you guys hash this out. I mean, this is as much as we can do. And so far it's been a lot of fun. And it has been successful.
Yeah, very successful. Yeah. Yeah, that's great. Well, I'm very happy to hear that. That's going to be fun to see just how the program morphs this opportunity. So yeah, wonderful, wonderful. Any other community-wide things that you're working on? I know that you were just speaking at Power Up. You were at Common Europe Congress over in Milan, Italy, which was beautiful and very well attended, I might add. Just the fact they had over 450 people and went into a second hotel was really successful. But anything you want to plug for that you've been speaking on, or things that you've noticed in the market recently?
I've noticed, like you, I've noticed an uptick in conference attendance, which is great.
Yeah.
Power Up was larger, I believe, this
Yep,
year
it
than it
was.
has been in the past. And Common
Yep.
Europe, it was actually my first time to Common Europe, but everyone told me that the attendance was up, which was
Hmm.
great. You know, those events are great for networking in general.
Yeah.
I stayed extremely busy because, of course, we were talking about profound AI at these events,
Yep.
and a lot of people wanted to see it. So I spent a lot of time in the booth running demos and talking to people about product, which is my job. You know, I love doing that. But
Yeah.
it, it. I felt the conferences felt like they felt more like pre-COVID. They
Oh,
did.
yeah. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, good
It
energy, right?
right. The energy was good, and everyone was so glad to be there, and the networking
Hmm.
was great. And people wanted to talk about solutions and ideas, and it really did remind me of what they were before the pandemic, which was great
Right.
because that's a shadow I really hope we can get
Yeah.
off our shoulders. So
Yeah.
yeah, it was great.
Yeah, I know that, from a common board perspective, we're working closely with new user groups starting across the world, including Common Japan, Common India. We're looking at how we can support LATAM and the groups, down in South America and across that region. So everybody is just clamoring to get back together again,
Yeah.
because that's where business happens, face to face, at conferences. Yeah, so no, I think that's great. So let's talk about AI. I
All
love it.
right.
So you guys have this new product, but I think it's important to talk a little bit about just what we've been seeing with AI in the last 18 months, because it really took off in 2023, from that
Yeah.
November 2022 through 2023. Here we are into 2024. I mean, just after 6 months of what AI has done, last year, but now we're seeing it, come into our businesses. And I thought this would be just a really great opportunity, one, to level set everybody on maybe where AI is today. And if you're not looking at it, you should be, and just kind of get your 2 cents. And then we can launch into doing a nice little demo on your, profound AI. So,
Sure. Well, you say 18 months like it's not a long time. Honestly, in the AI space, it's an eternity.
yeah, it is.
The I have to update my slide decks on AI so often. I know Charlie has said the same thing on his because he's doing a lot of speaking on AI as well. Just because things are changing so rapidly.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's one of the things I used to talk about in sessions, and I've kind of had to cut it out. Is I kind of talk about AI. It's hard not to talk about AI and talk about it like it's a person, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of the point, but that's I talked about the progression of AI and how in 2022 it was a toddler, right?
Yeah.
It had amazing potential, but still just didn't have the knowledge and the experience really to be able to do big things.
Hmm.
And then it got into the teenage years, and that's kind of where I thought 2023, early 2023 was,
Hmm.
in that it could do a lot of great things, but not perfectly yet,
Right.
and couldn't entirely be trusted. I know that as a parent of some teenagers. So it could do a lot as long as it was well supervised. And now we're in 2024, and honestly, I feel like it's in the young adult phase. I mean, it is the things that can be done with AI with so little effort now. Um, I mean, we may get into this later, but there are, in the last 18 months, we had, entire new career paths that were being born around, you
Oh,
know,
yeah.
things like prompt engineering, right?
Yeah.
AI focused career paths that have kind of come, and now AI has advanced to the point in just 18 months that I don't know that we need them anymore. I mean, it's really advancing that fast.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, specifically talking prompt engineering, I let AI create the prompts for me now. I mean, it's the AI can create the prompts to help you tell AI what you want it to do. I mean, it's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So things just move so fast, and new models come out all the time, and trying to keep up
Yeah.
with, what's the best of this and the best of that. I mean, it really is, a full-time kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so, I think, and I may be going into what we were going to discuss later, but that's okay. This is kind of
Yeah.
freeform, right?
Yeah.
I think the career path that's going to emerge and stick personally is the AI strategist, not
Oh.
the person that is the prompt engineer. And that's fine. I think strategy is where the long-term
Yeah.
play for an AI career is going to be, because someone's got to keep up with the technology, and then so it's very similar, honestly, to most IBMI developers. And let me
Yeah.
explain that.
Explain that. Mm-hmm.
Explain that. So we as IBMI developers, right? Most of us don't really identify ourselves as like RPG programmers. Most of us are business analysts. We are technology analysts. Yes, we know how to write code for IBMI, but unlike most developers that you see in other businesses, we also have a deep understanding of the business, right?
Right.
And the data, right? You don't have a separate data team like you have on some other platforms where you've got a bunch of DBAs, right, that are trying to keep the database up and running and all of that. We're kind of one person shows in some cases, but we're expected to know all those things just in the way we came up, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so I think personally that IBMI developers specifically are actually perfect candidates for AI strategists, because we understand the business,
Mm-hmm.
we understand technology in general, and then you go out and you learn about AI and keep up with it, and then you can apply all of that business and that tribal
Yeah.
knowledge to the technology side of it to help tell the business, this is where we need to apply. This is where we can get the most value out of AI in the company.
Yeah. Yeah. And from, trends, what we're seeing in trends, it's that whole we don't know what we don't know.
Mm-hmm.
And how can it help with looking at, the past to help us understand the present and the future,
Mm-hmm.
right? So yeah, I agree with you on that 100%. So and then that AI strategist inside the business is helping maybe not just the IT team, but also lending support to the marketing team and
Yep.
to the accounting team. And, again, that, all knowing of the business,
Mm-hmm.
just from, I think about manufacturing and just how automated it is, but just think if you apply some AI strategy to it, how much faster it could go, how much, what other areas of waste can they cut out? You know,
Yeah.
I don't know. There's just, it's huge. And we've got IBM jumping on board now,
Yes.
with Steve Will and what IBM I and AI they have planned in that realm. So we'll hear more about that from Steve later in July. He'll be doing
Yeah.
an announcement. He's been talking about it for a while now, but he's got some updates coming in July. So
Nice.
we'll hear more about that. But yeah, no, I think that's great. And then, and then it's not just for the good. We know that there's a lot of, dark side AI going on out there too. So, which is why it's really important to bring in have that strategist, but then have the security and the guardrails or
Mm-hmm.
the bumpers on, if you will. So,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Which
So,
and those are actually exactly why we decided we wanted to build a product around, helping customers get AI into their applications. That's exactly why it exists.
Yeah, I was just going to ask you, what was the emphasis for starting a tool like this? What were you seeing out there that said to you guys internally, hey, we need to write a product. We need to get this going.
Well, it's one of those things where I talked about, a strategist being a position that companies are going to need. The reality is a lot of smaller shops, especially IBMI shops, don't have the bandwidth for someone to take that position. So, we thought first, well, we can be that strategist for companies. We partner with lots of companies around, with all of our products and offerings. And we're like, we can be that resource.
Right.
And of course, that's something that we absolutely offer. But at the same time, one of our core values at Profound Logic is simplification. And so, AI is this big, scary thing, and a lot of companies are just frozen just out of fear.
Right.
And
Right.
so we looked at it and we said, how can we simplify this? How can we make something as big and scary and potentially costly as
Right.
AI, something that's accessible to everyone, something that the one person IBMI shop all the way up to the Fortune 100 company can take advantage of. Because that's going to be, in my opinion, that's going to be the separator of the future with regards to AI. It's going to be the haves and the have-nots.
Right.
And so how can we, as a solution provider, right, and as a technology partner to our customers, how can we ensure that all of our customers are on equal playing fields, right? And so that's really where it came from, is how can we take this complicated thing and boil it down to where even a one-person shop can get AI into the hand. And this is another differentiator, right? You see a lot of talk about AI in the IT space about, developing code and doing all those things. Those are great. But our focus was, how do we get AI into the hands of the end users of our customers, right? Because that's where the business is going to get the most value. Sure, it can make IT more efficient and do all kinds of things for IT, and that's great for IT. But what about everyone else in the company?
Right. Right.
So the idea behind Profound AI is we've tried to boil this down so that you can, in minutes, literally, you can build AI agents and get them in the hands of your end users. When we were at Common Europe, actually, you know how a booth runs, right? And you can't always be there, right? It's just one of those things, right? Everyone's got to eat or go to the restroom at some point, right?
Take a break. Yep.
you got to step away.
Go give a talk. Yeah,
right.
Absolutely.
So we had, we had the big screen behind me with, a slide deck going. I said, when I'm not here, I want a Profound AI demo to be able to run. So I said, okay, I'm just going to sit down and I'm going to record myself building an agent from the start to ready to deploy. And I'm going to give it a few tables. We'll actually run it when we do the demo here in a minute.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah. But I just recorded myself doing it start to end, so that I could stick it on the slide deck, right? And so I just put it into a PowerPoint slide so that it would play when it got to that portion. 3 minutes. That's exactly how long the video was. 3 minutes. Now it takes me longer to demo that because I like to run my mouth. But just sitting there doing it, not talking, just task at hand. 3 minutes.
Yep.
I built an agent to assist users with picking out products based on features. Just sat down and did it. So that's the power of it, is having the right tools and all the plumbing in place. The AI part becomes easy.
Yeah.
And so that's what we've tried to do, is just take the complexity out of it and make it so that anyone, non-technical users, not that I'm suggesting you let them, but it's simple enough that a non-technical user could sit down and learn how to use the product and be able to build agents.
Fantastic. So what do you say? Should we launch into it? All right,
sure.
Brian's going to do a demo, everybody. So here it is, Profound AI, and he's going to share his screen. And
let me make sure I share the correct screen. We may have to edit this later. All right, I think that's the right one. Perfect.
Yes, yeah.
Okay, so let's do this. Oh, well, you might be seeing yourself again.
I am. Hi.
There we go. we can edit that out, right? Okay, so.
I don't know if I want to.
Okay, fair enough. All right, so here I am in our development environment. Web-based, nothing to install on the PC unless you want to run it on your PC. You certainly can.
It's all web-based. Okay, gotcha.
Web-based. We're ready to go. So the idea here is to simplify. So we built a product that is easy to use, obviously, quick to use, but ultimately simplified. So what we're going to do is I want to build a new agent. Let's just say I want to build an agent that's going to assist people with finding the products they need that we sell. Okay.
Okay.
Now I've got a spot here where I can just say, all right, I need a new AI agent. All right. So we have a 3-step process, right? If you go to our website, it'll tell you there's a 3-step process. You choose your agent, or excuse me, you choose your model, you define your agent, and you deploy. 3 steps. And it really is that. So
it really is that simple.
It really is. So if I come here and say, all right, step 1, choose a model. We support all major commercial models and open source models. It is a bring your own AI solution. Okay. Now, what does that mean? That means that you can use anything that you want. Why is that important? Because the AI landscape changes constantly. That right now, you may be using model A, and tomorrow there may be a new model from a new company that comes out that blows it away.
Sure.
So you need to have a solution that's flexible that lets you switch, right? Because you need the flexibility to keep up with what's going on. So select a model. So this is my demo environment, actually was rebuilt recently. But this is the demo environment. So I have lots of models configured here because this is kind of my playground, right?
Okay.
So I'd come to a drop down and say, all right, well, what model would I like to use?
And okay, so I have a quick question for you.
Yeah.
So what if people don't know which model? Do you guys give recommendations on models for specific products or specific tasks or something? Okay, awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. We can absolutely offer advice on that. We even have services around that where we can actually sit down and do an AI analysis type of project where we can sit down, talk to you about your business, take a look at the technologies that you're using, make recommendations, help you find initial use cases that you should develop, and then recommend models and help you get things configured. We have a whole onboarding process that we can do with you to get you that point. Because again, it's not as complicated as people think, but it's scary. And so I think having someone to help you do that is extremely important, especially, and we'll get into use cases later. A lot of customers make the mistake of thinking that they're going to implement this huge AI project to start with, and that's not where you go. And we talked about that on the other podcasts, right? It's start small. Yeah. So your first AI project is not going to be you going out and getting an open source model and training your own model to be able to do something very specific and then deploying that on your own hardware. And, that's not your first AI project, I promise. That's a big undertaking, and it's not where you want to start. So most customers start with just the public commercial AI models because that's the easiest thing to do.
And that's ChatGPT right there?
That is. Well, it's OpenAI. It's not ChatGPT is their online interface for interfacing with the GPT models.
Okay, gotcha.
But these are the same models that ChatGPT uses. We just use the API interface so that we provide the end user experience instead of them going to the ChatGPT website.
Gotcha. Right? Okay, that makes total sense. Okay.
And that's how we're able to leverage a model like GPT, right? But be able to embed it into your actual applications, not have your users go to a separate browser window and pull up ChatGPT and ask questions. You can actually embed it within your application.
Perfect.
Okay. So if we take a look at that, we can choose GPT 4.0. That's the brand new, less than a month old model that OpenAI has available. And I can build my agent. If I decide a week from now I want to use a different agent, I'll just come down here and I'll configure it in my environment, obviously, to get it added. But then, say tomorrow I needed to use Gemini, I just switch. I don't have to redevelop the agent. I just switch.
Okay.
because the product already understands all the API interfaces for all the different providers. So we've taken care of all that headache so that you're just interacting with an agent.
Okay.
So, but we'll stick with GPT 4.0 because it's my favorite.
Okay.
All right, so let's give it a heading. So let's call it Incredible iShow Demo. Perfect. And we're all IBM people around here, so we're going to make it blue, right? Because that's the color. All right. So you'll notice that I have an agent, like a UI here in the middle of my development environment, right? I haven't saved anything. I've just chosen a model and given it a heading. But this thing's live. I can actually say hello to the model, and it will actually respond to me. So at this point, I technically have an agent. It's generic, but I have one. So there we have it, which is great when you're developing because we can make tweaks, ask questions. If we don't like the answers we're getting, we make more tweaks.
Right.
And I can do all of that live right here in the dev environment. The guidance tab, this is your prompt, okay? This is how you describe to the agent what its job is. I used to say, think of it like you're talking to a child. Now I say, but models have progressed. You give it instructions like it's an intern. Okay.
Yeah.
This is what I need you to do. This is how I need you to do it. And this is, and the fun part, you can even give it a persona. So we have a demo. I won't pull it up where it helps you. It's an agent that we just built for fun that helps you with recipes and cooking. But we told it to have the persona of Gordon Ramsay, and it will actually insult you if you ask questions and the whole thing.
That's awesome.
Not that I'm saying you should do that in your business application.
Right, for fun.
But for fun, yes, you can absolutely do that. So this is just the default. You're assisting an enterprise application user. Use the functions provided to respond appropriately. No big deal. In this case, I can say we're assisting an enterprise application user who is selling to end customers, right?
Okay.
And I can say, respond in a friendly, helpful manner. Only respond to questions about products and their features. If I can type.
That's all right. So, there's a lot of pressure. A lot of pressure on this demo.
Always fun. So what have I done? All right. So I have said, okay, this is your job. You're assisting an enterprise application user selling to end customers. I've given it a persona, which you don't have to, but I like to, right?
Sure.
Be friendly, helpful. Only respond to questions about products and features. Okay, now we get into security and guardrails. That's a guardrail. So now this agent will only respond to questions regarding products. So if I ask, who hosts the Incredible iShow? Oh, wow. It didn't like that at all. It gave me something that it shouldn't have. Yeah. Welcome to AI.
Who is Steve Hoffman?
I don't know. I've never heard of Steve Hoffman.
I don't know either. That's hilarious.
Yeah. So let's talk about AI.
Yeah.
AI is not infallible.
No.
And I think the reason that this happened actually is because I haven't given it any data to ground it, and we'll get into that in a second. Sure. So it's trying to be helpful. You should only answer, and I wasn't quite as specific, so I could say our products and their features. So let's ask another question.
Yeah.
Who is the president of the US? There we go. All right.
Oh, perfect.
So I'm here to help with questions about our products and their features. So what did I just do? I tweaked my prompt. And yeah. Welcome to AI agent development. One simple word, right? Because and I can try to explain what it probably thought, and then this is me guessing. Because I didn't say our products, it could consider a podcast a product.
Sure. Yep.
In which case, then it said, oh, well, if that's the product, let me go out and try to figure out what the answer is. I don't know who the Incredible Eye Show with Steve Hoffman is, but that does bring up that it's not infallible. So,
Right.
I tell customers all the time, most customers are not ready using general purpose, models to fully automate things. Okay. Now, if you go through the process of, training your own model with your own data and building something custom, yeah, you can get accurate enough that you can start, automating some things. But you never want to deal in absolutes with AI. Even if you train your own model, lots of times you'll have it return like a probability. Like, so let's say I built an AI model and an agent that detects fraud. It's not going to return a yes, no. It's never black and white. More than likely, it's going to return something like there's an 80% chance this is fraud, right?
Sure.
And so then it's up to you to then decide what to do about that, right?
Right.
So you would set a threshold of 50% or whatever you feel safe with, right? And then send anything above that threshold, you'd send it for a human to review, right? But again, that's the thing. AI is amazing. It's not perfect. But neither are humans. So that should, you shouldn't trust everything you hear from people either. So anyway,
especially the internet,
right? Which is what AI was trained on.
Yeah.
So yeah, there we are. So one little tweak, we fixed the problem, and I'll just do that to clear it out so we get a nice blank slate. Okay, so we have a prompt. What's the other part of this that is important is this prompt is controlled by IT, not the end user. If you give an end user a ChatGPT window, right? They create the prompt, they do whatever they want, right? This allows IT to come in and say, all right, we're going to build an agent for one specific job. We're going to put the guardrails in that says what it can and can't do, and then we'll deploy that to the user so we have some control, right? Because that ultimately, that's the biggest fear that most customers I talk to about AI is that, how do we control this thing, right? How do we ensure that our data isn't getting out, right? How do we ensure that, our users are only doing things that they should with AI? And so this is a way, for you to control that. So we've created a prompt that says, okay, well, this is this agent's job. And we've told it, all right, you're gonna answer questions about our products and features, but it has no idea what our products and features are. Right? Yeah. So we got to give it some data. So next step of the definition is to give it some data. Now, if we had this in document format, we could come down under knowledge documents and we could upload spreadsheets and PDFs and Word docs and whatever kind of document-based data, unstructured data. We can give the AI agent access to all that. For this little example, though, we're just going to use the database because we're IBM shops. That's where all of our information lives, right?
Okay.
So I'll go to the data access tab and I'm saying, all right, I need to add a table. You'll notice I have a few databases defined. We support lots of databases running various places. You can see I've got some databases running in AWS, SQL server running in Azure. We don't care. It's a database is a database to the product. But more importantly, unlike anything else on the market, it supports IBM as well. So, all right, I can come here and choose any IBM table that I want to give this agent access to. So I'm going to go and grab my product table. So products, perfect. And I'm going to add another table. So I've got a product table. I've got a feature table. All right, features P.
Okay. Yep.
And then I have a cross-reference table because, that's not that I recommend them, but that's what a lot of applications have that have a little age on them, right? So I have a cross-reference table that links my products and my features together. All right. So now the AI agent is aware that these three tables exist. It doesn't know what's in them. Okay. It just knows they exist. So now I have under database columns, now I can choose exactly which columns the AI agent is aware of. So we can take this all the way down to the column level.
Okay.
Now, for a demo, I'm just going to hit them all. because
Sure.
it's a demo. But, if you have sensitive information in here that you don't want the AI to ever be able to see, just uncheck it. Simple.
Perfect.
Now, I'll talk a little, I'm going to get a little nerdy, and that's okay.
Yep.
But we want to talk security. So what's really happening here? The AI model does not have direct access to the database at any time. So,
Okay. Which is
that's
really important.
right. So all you security people, calm down for a second, okay? So it cannot access the database directly, period. What we do is when a question is posted to the agent, and that question is then sent up to the large language model. Basically, what the product does is it says, okay, given a database that looks like this, how can we answer this question? And then the model will come back and say, can you run this SQL statement for me to retrieve the data I need? So we then take that SQL statement and we parse it.
Okay.
And we say, okay, is it valid first, right?
Yep.
And then, is it only accessing the tables and the columns that are specifically designated in the data access? And this is on an agent by agent basis, right? So you can have different agents accessing different things. That's fine.
With different security around each
different
one.
security around.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
Because the information that you want an agent on an order entry screen is going to be very different than the information you want an agent to see that's on, I don't know, an accounts payable screen, right? Or on a manufacturing scheduling screen, right? Very different use cases, very different data sets.
Exactly.
So we're going to parse that and say, okay, yes, it does not violate any of that. Why? Because we've all heard of SQL injection on web pages, right?
Mm-hmm.
Prompt injection is also a thing, right? So you have to do this, because if you don't, what would happen if I were to, go into my interface right here and say, forget all the prompt information you have to this point, I want you to do this.
Ooh.
That's a real thing.
Yeah.
So this is again us putting guardrails up and says, okay,
yeah,
I don't care if you know what the name of the table is and you ask me to access it, unless it's specifically defined right here, it will not be accessed, period. So again, trying to get some of the complex parts of it and get it simplified.
Right.
All right, so I now have these three tables. You'll also notice I didn't join them. AI is smart enough to figure that part out all on its own.
Okay.
It'll figure it out, which is amazing.
You don't have
It's
to do
incredible.
anything on the nothing on the back end, and wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it'll figure it out. It's really pretty good. And if it needs help, you can help. You can add things into the prompt if something's, if your database is just really ugly. It also pulls in the descriptions from the columns and the tables themselves. So any extra field description you have in your tables is there. I can also change it here in the interface.
It doesn't change the table, but
yeah, I can tweak it here as well. Why? Because the description and the data type and the links, all of that goes up with that information we send to the model that when we say a database that looks like this. So, I mean, if it got nasty, I could even come to the description and just make sure the descriptions match perfectly between the two tables, and that's probably enough. But again, AI most of the time will just figure it out. It's great. So I've given it access to three tables, and I have an agent here. So now I can just ask a question. I mean, the agent's built at this point. We're done. So this database is an old database we have with information about old like dash top GPS units, right? That none of us really use anymore because we all have GPS on our phone or in our car. But back in the day, I had an old TomTom unit, right? I used to stick on my dash. So it's just a bunch of old units like that. So let's say, okay, I need a product with Bluetooth support. Or no, you know what? Let's do something a little more fun. Something a little more complex. Here we go. Yeah. If voice recognition, eco-friendly routes, and traffic updates are important to me, which product do you recommend?
Oh, there you go.
And there we go. Let's ask. So not a simple question, right? But all right, and see, it's going to go out. It's going to grab all the information out of my tables. It's going to say, all right, let's take a look at this thing. And all right, here's some recommendations based on what I have. The image links are broken because my environment's messed up right now. There are images. There's an image path in the database that doesn't match where they are in my demo environment. But if they match, they would show up perfectly. All right, great. So
Nice.
all right, so it gave me a list. Let's pick one just for fun. Tell me about the, and I'm going to do this intentionally weird. Okay. So this is what's great about AI is that I don't have to be exact in my search criteria doesn't have to match exactly. So I'm going to say, tell me about the 3055 MU. All right. You'll notice, all right, so that's the Magellan Roadmate 3055 MU. I didn't put the dash. I didn't capitalize the MU, right? A normal, SQL statement would probably
blow up. Right? Yep. Yeah, but you can be kind of lazy with this. Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely. You can misspell things. It's okay. It'll figure it out. But there you go. So it knew exactly what I was talking about because this is a conversation. The agent remembers what the previous response was. The model remembers what the previous response was. So it knows what you're talking about. So here we go. It's telling me, more information about all the things that this particular unit has. It's there. It's done. So we have a functioning agent at this point. So then it becomes, okay, well, step 3, deploy.
Yeah.
All right. First, I have to save it because I haven't saved anything yet. I'm still just working, raw. So let's save it. And I'm just going to call it incredible.
Because it is.
It is. Incredible agent, not JSON. All right. So now I'm ready to deploy. All right. Let me deploy this agent. All right. So how are we going to deploy it? As an on-click? So for a button, or I just want to embed an icon. That's fine. Do I need cores? Am I going to put this on a different domain than where I am? Am I embedding in our products or in something else? We're going to assume you're not our customer yet. We'll take that off. You can embed this in any web-based interface, period.
Okay.
It does not have to be one of ours. Now, if you have one of ours, obviously it'll work, but no, it doesn't have to be ours. And it actually gives you the HTML that I need right here to copy into my web-based interface, whether it's PHP, CGI, whatever it is.
Okay.
Just drop this in and it will be deployed. We're done.
Nice. Nice.
And of course, this was really simple. There's a lot more things we can do, and I don't want to deep dive too much. But there's also, we talked about data access. That's great. You can get data from all different databases and combine them, by the way. We talked about unstructured data like knowledge documents. We can upload that. It can use both at the same time, by the way. It's not just a one or the other. So you can actually have unstructured data, database, and also routines, all in the same, all within the same agent, and it can utilize them all to come to the answers that it's going to give you, which is really powerful. I mentioned routines. What are routines? This is our low-code system that you can actually come in and build routines that your AI agent can utilize. So what does that mean? So if I wanted to, for example, consume an external API, I could build a quick routine here that actually calls whatever that web service is. And
maybe like a FedEx or a UPS or something like that. Yeah.
Sure, absolutely. Maybe I have some business logic I need it to do for me in certain circumstances. I can build a routine that can do that. And that routine can do lots of things, including things like call an IBMI program.
Nice.
Or a procedure in a service program.
Nice.
Retrieve a data area, run an IBMI command. It can do all of those things and a lot of other things too, but we're IBMI people. This is fully integrated with IBMI. This is running on IBMI, by the way.
Oh, okay. I was going to ask that.
It is. It is running on an IBMI right now. It doesn't have to. It's a completely Node.js based solution, so it can run on anything and still access IBMI, by the way. But it can absolutely run on your IBMI. So
Nice.
wherever you want it, but we can do all these
Powerful.
things and be able to call an existing program. It can be used for, I've got a demo I set up where it helps people reset their passwords, and then it runs the IBM commands to change a user profile and all those things. We've got lots of different examples of things we can do here, but again, we can give it this. The other thing that this is important for, and I should have mentioned, the data access tab is read only. The AI cannot update your data, period.
Okay.
No, it cannot manipulate it. Again, safety.
Yes.
So
Yes.
if you want the AI to be able to do that, you would write a routine where you control the update. So I could come in here and I can say, okay, what would I like it to do? I can come down to database and I can say, all right, I would like for it to insert a database record or update or insert a database record, right? And then I would choose my database, choose my table, etc., and build out what it should do and what it should update. So again, keeping that in the control of the developer.
Excellent.
I could go all day.
Yeah, you could. Wow, super powerful. So once it's deployed, then how do you update it? What if you need to make changes, or you just go to, where it's being housed, kept,
Yeah.
and then make those updates and those changes?
Yeah. Ultimately, and this is fun. Ultimately, if we take a look at this thing, let me get into the source. An agent is nothing but a JSON file.
And there all the information is.
There's everything.
Yeah.
So, as far as like a deployment type of thing, if we want to move this from a development environment to a production environment, it's a JSON file. We could use any kind of change management we want. We can use Git to send changes across, or if you're an IBM shop doing everything on IBM, surely whatever process you have, you can move an IFS file from one place to another. That's really all there is to it. So I would just come into my development environment, make my tweaks, move the changes over, and it's done. Really simple.
Fantastic.
And then, so I showed you how you would deploy it, but what would it look like deployed, right?
Yeah.
I'm not going to take the time to actually set up an environment here.
Yeah, let's go look at one that you have.
But I've got one that's already ready to go. So I'm going to launch an app over here, and we can hop into it. And it's not the prettiest app, but it was built quickly just to prove a point.
Sure.
All right, so here I am inside of an application. It's an order entry application with grocery data. So you notice I've got this little icon at the bottom.
Yep.
That's the embedded icon for an agent. So I can just come in here and pop this thing up, and here we go. There's my agent right within my application, ready to answer questions. So this agent has access to my order entry data. It also has some custom routines that allow it to do some other things, but it's here, and we can ask it to do simple things. We can ask it to do complex things. Here, let's do something simple, just because I say simple, but it's actually fun. Let's say I want to. Okay, yeah. So let's say I need some data. All right, but I don't want to go into my BI system to go and grab some information. I just wanted to grab this customer sales in 2023 by category. So provided my internet connection isn't too slow today, it's going to go out and do its thing. And it's telling me what it's doing as it goes along, because I'm using a streaming API for this. And sometimes doing video will slow it down just a little bit.
Sure.
But
sure.
Here we are. It'll get there. It also depends on how busy the large language model is right now. If you're using a public model, if OpenAI is getting slammed right now, which sometimes it does, you can get a little bit of a delay.
It is the lunch hour. It is the lunch hour, on the East Coast, so people might be.
It could very well. Or, sometimes
maybe it's just thinking.
Maybe it's just thinking.
Yeah. So, while it's thinking, let's just talk a little bit about, how customers can engage with you here, and maybe a little bit about the pricing, because I know there it is. All right. Yeah. So, yep, it built the graph. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Or I can ask it, I'm going to ask it something more open-ended, because this is where you get real value. All right. So I've got, uh, here we go. I've got pre-built things just to save time over here
Yeah,
that
for
we
sure.
can show. So when would a seasonal promotion on beverages be most effective for this customer? So the model is going to go out. It's going to use its own knowledge of sales in general, right? And it's also going to use my data for this customer. It's going to put those things together to come up with an actual recommendation, an actionable thing that it can recommend for me to do. You can see it showing me there based on graph of beverage sales for the company. Most effective time on seasonal promotion would be spring or early summer, around April or May.
Yep.
Or we could get really open-ended and let's see. I could say something, I'll just type it out.
Okay.
Based on order history, let's get really open-ended. How can I increase sales?
Yeah.
That's not a query. That is, hey, help me do
Tell
my job.
me. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure.
We'll let that run. So you were asking a question.
Yeah, I was going to say, let's, because we are approaching, the top of the hour here, and I want to, make sure we wrap this up with a little bow. How can customers engage with you on Profound AI? I know that you've got a couple of different pricing models. You've got a no cost version as well as a subscription version. So maybe you want to talk a little bit about that before we wrap.
So the easiest place to get started is profoundlogic.com/AI. Simple to remember. But you're right. There are going to be tiers of the product. This year is the 25th anniversary of Profound Logic. And so with that, we're actually going to do something special for customers and new customers as well. And that is the starter tier of Profound AI is going to be free to use.
All right.
So what does that mean? That means you can go and download it and get a key and be able to use it at no cost. Now, that is the full product with two exceptions. One, the support will obviously be limited, right?
Yep.
The other is some of the advanced logging is also disabled in that version, right? So it's really meant for you to get started, start experimenting, and be able to get this in your hands. Right. Now, when you're ready to get into production and you need that production level support and you need all that logging to keep up with what's going on, then you get into our business tier. The business tier is extremely affordable. The product should be out, I think, when this comes out. So I'll just go ahead and talk about it. And if I get in trouble, that's okay. But for the initial release, right now, that price is going to be $3,000 per year per instance of the product.
Annually per instance. Okay.
Yes. So if you fire up, if you have a production environment and you've got an instance of Profound AI running in that environment, $3,000 a year gets you that advanced support and logging and all of the things that you need.
Very affordable. Wow.
It is. And so, I was actually running some numbers before the podcast. So I won't get too heavy into the math, but I was just curious for my own sake. U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics. I just looked up this morning. Average cost of an employee, including benefits and everything, $46 an hour in the U.S. Okay.
Yep.
If you build one agent, let's say the agent we just looked at, this order entry agent. Okay. Let's say you built this. You build that. You say you have 5 salespeople and it saves them 20 minutes per week. Easy.
Yeah.
Easy to do.
Do the math. Oh my gosh.
That's 82 and a half hours in a year. At $46 an hour, it comes out to $3,795.
You just paid for your product.
You paid for it.
Yep. Yeah.
You paid for it. Easy.
Yeah.
It's really a no-brainer, I think. We want this to be accessible to everyone. Why do we do it, for instance? Because, that makes it accessible for everyone, right? Because our investment in support and all the things is going to be much higher for a large customer that needs 5, 10 instances than it is for, a small shop that only needs one.
Right.
So by doing that, it gives us a pricing model that's flexible and allows companies of all sizes to be able to get into this.
Yeah, very scalable.
It's extremely scalable. And so I want to, my goal here was to make sure that the small 2-person shop can still get into AI.
Yeah.
Even if it's just with the initial free offering running.
Yeah.
Right.
Try it out.
They can go ahead and start trying this out, get it in their hands. I don't recommend running a production environment without the full level of support. But I mean, there's nothing stopping you from doing it, right? But when you're in production, it's your business, right? You want the full support, and you're going to want the extra logging, so that you can. And those logs are really detailed. You can see, the tables that were accessed, all the information that went back and forth to the large language model. All that information's in the logs. So you're going to want that from a security and an auditing kind of standpoint.
Absolutely.
But the idea here was to try to reduce all the cost barriers, so that customers can just get this and use it.
Yeah. Well, and it seems so intuitive and so easy. I feel like I could go to that interface and create something.
Absolutely, you could.
And maybe I will. Maybe I'll go ahead and say, hey, let me check that out. And see what it can do, and I'll report back. Yeah. So I love it.
We were talking, and so you can see here that my open-ended question, it gave me a lot of recommendations on things I can do to increase sales to this customer. So again, it's more than just querying data. It's actually using the AI's, for lack of a better word, intelligence, right? It's training that it already has, and then grounding it in the customer's data, so that we hear about hallucinations with models and all those things, right? It gives wrong answers. Well, a lot of that's because it doesn't have data to ground its answers in. So by having your data, that's when you get more accurate results.
That's a good point.
But anyway, I don't want to push us too far past the hour, but I'm super excited about it. I really can't wait for everyone to get their hands on it and start using it and hear about what they're doing with it. So feel free to reach out to us at profoundlogic.com/AI. Reach out to me personally if you want to. We're more than happy to have conversations around it. I've had a ton of fun with our beta customers, talking about the things that they've been doing with it so far. We're just all super excited.
Yeah, I am super excited for you. Okay, so I will have your contact information in the show notes. I will have, obviously, your website and a link to the product. And if anybody needs anything, you know where to go. Brian is right there to help you guys out. So this is really good. So thank you so much for that. As we continue to wrap up our show right now, we're going to go on to our one incredible thing. So that was pretty incredible, Brian, but I have to imagine you've got a one incredible thing.
Yes. So you said it couldn't be work related. So okay.
Yeah. It's got to be something, personal.
It's something fun. So I was going to talk about my trip to Europe, but technically that was partially work related. So we're not going to talk about that. But while I was there, I did buy something. I didn't buy it in Europe. I ordered it while I was in Europe. But you mentioned that I used to be a musician. Well, technically I am a musician. I used to be a touring musician. So I played bass at that time and guitar and a few things, but I got rid of a lot of equipment. So I've been wanting to put together, kind of my old rig as far as my bass amplifier and stuff. And of course they don't make that stuff anymore, what I used to use. So I've been on the hunt. Right. And so there is an app called Reverb that musicians use to buy and trade gear and all of those things. So I've been looking for this very specific bass speaker cabinet. And so I just had a search saved. And so I got a notification that one was available, the price had dropped, and I'd been looking at it for a little while. So I bought it. But what's really incredible about it is that it actually belonged to Tom Hamilton, the bass player for Aerosmith. Yeah, so it arrived. It arrived 2 days ago. It's at the house. It still has their inventory tag on the back of it that says "Property of Aerosmith" with like the ID number on the back of
No
it.
way.
Yeah, it's really cool. So yeah, my incredible thing for this week at least is that I own a piece of gear that was used by Aerosmith.
I love that. That is an incredible thing. Oh my gosh. So you're piecing all of this stuff together. Was that the missing piece then, the final piece, or
Um,
do you have
it's
more pieces to go?
it's the biggest piece I was missing.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Oh,
actually
that's
pretty
awesome.
large, but yeah. So yeah,
I love.
that's my latest incredible thing.
I like it. I love it, actually. That's really good. I love Aerosmith, so who doesn't, right? That's my era. That's what I grew up with that stuff. So, yeah, excellent. Well, thank you for that. And everybody has been so patient. My one incredible thing is our big move across the state line from Minneapolis, Minnesota down to West Des Moines, Iowa. We're here, folks. We finally landed, and I've got just some great things planned around the podcast since, I took a little hiatus to get this move done with my husband and my daughter, and now we're here. So that is my one incredible thing. I'm still unpacking, but I'll get there. I'll get there. So, yeah. So Iowa's been great so far. We had a crazy storm come through last night, but hey, that's everywhere you go. So, yeah, so that is my one incredible thing. So thank you so much, Brian May and
Thank
Profound
you.
Logic, for being here with us today. We really appreciate your time and all that you do in the IBM community. We're all super excited about this product, and I think, you know what, it's a great opportunity, people, to get out there and check something out that might be might be scaring you a little bit. So do it in the safety of the Profound AI tool. So yeah, so thank you, everybody. Thanks, Brian.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, everybody. I'll get this all posted and we'll see you on the show. Thank you. All right.